Hello all, welcome back to my channel. There are tons of baseless smears about Tucker Carlson on the internet, and for someone routinely called a fascist, there are an awful lot of people trying to silence him. Imagine, if you will, if Tucker Carlson decided to sue for every slanderous claim that's been printed or tweeted. He isn't, though. He doesn't care. He's sufficiently aware that the caricature he's made out to be is not who he really is, and he doesn't give emotional control to strangers. He has said that repeatedly. Funnily enough, in December of 2018, there was a lawsuit filed against him alleging slander. Pretty rich. And this gave way to an internet meme that just won't die, but I want to kill it today. That's the idea that you literally can't believe the facts Tucker Carlson tells you. The NPR headline is shared frequently on Twitter like it's a real gotcha moment to Tucker's illiterate viewers, and I'm here to debunk it. For that, I've got the actual video clip and court documents. First, how it came about. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's lawyer, paid off 2 women he'd had an affair with to prevent this information from going public. It was argued by the left that this was a violation of campaign finance law, because they claimed if these accusations had been made public, he could have lost the election. Therefore, the funds could be considered campaign funds. Whether you agree with that or not, that was the perspective put forth by Democrats and leftists on mainstream media at the time. Tucker argued it wasn't a campaign expenditure, but a personal one in order to preserve Trump's reputation. Tucker considered this extortion, and he said as much in December 10th, 2018's episode of Tucker Carlson Tonight. Here's part of that.
Prosecutors say Trump directed illegal payments during campaign. The gist of the story is this. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, has told federal prosecutors that he facilitated payments to 2 women who said they had affairs with Donald Trump. And then, well, actually, that's it. That's the entire story right there. We're going to start by stipulating that everything Michael Cohen has told the feds is absolutely true. Now, assuming honesty isn't usually a wise idea with Michael Cohen, but for the sake of argument in this case, everything he says is true. 2 women approached Donald Trump and threatened to ruin his career and humiliate his family if he doesn't give them money. Now, that sounds like a classic case of extortion. Now, more than 2 years later, Trump is a felon for doing this. It doesn't seem to make any sense.
You can view the full monologue and exchanges thereafter. In fact, you can view the whole episode at the links in my description. Now, I'm going to read excerpts from the court documents that were taken out of context and later used to falsely pollute Tucker's credibility. And still is, by the way, 3 years later. Fox News seeks dismissal at the pleading stage on 2 constitutional grounds. First, it asserts that Mr. Carlson's statements on December 10, 2018 episode of his show are constitutionally protected opinion commentary on matters of public importance and are not reasonably understood as being factual. Second, Fox News argues that Ms. McDougal has failed to allege actual malice. For the purpose of this motion, no other issues are in play. Fox News first argues that, viewed in context, Mr. Carlson cannot be understood to have been stating facts, but instead that he was delivering an opinion using hyperbole for effect. This quote has been used to say several untrue things, such as A. Tucker Carlson cannot reasonably be believed. B. If you are reasonable, you can't take anything he says as fact. C. Tucker Carlson is never factually accurate. No. Fox News lawyers are arguing, rightly so, that in this one particular instance, Tucker is giving his opinion, not stating fact, and if you are a reasonable person, that's obvious. Such accusations of crimes also are unlikely to be defamatory when, as here, they are made in connection with debates on a matter of public or political importance. This is especially true in the context of commentary talk shows like the one at issue here. It speaks for itself. Let's go on, though. The court agrees Mr. Carlson's statements were in response to contemporaneous suggestions that President Trump could be impeached due to campaign finance violations stemming from the payments to Ms. McDougal, an issue that attracted significant public and political concern and led to sustained debate across media platforms. Mr. Carlson tied the potential of an impeachment inquiry to his discussion of the payments to Ms. McDougal. When the statements are read in context, it is apparent that Mr. Carlson is remarking on hypocrisy he perceives that Mr. Cohen could be prosecuted and the president impeached for actions falling short of the conduct Ms. McDougal purportedly engaged in during the president's campaign. In light of that, Mr. Carlson's statements are a statement on matters of public concern. In light of this precedent and the context of Tucker Carlson tonight, the court finds that Mr. Carlson's invocation of extortion against Ms. McDougal is non-actionable hyperbole, intended to frame the debate in the guest commentator segment that followed Mr. Carlson's soliloquy. As defendant notes, Mr. Carlson himself aims to challenge political correctness and media bias. This general tenor of the show should then inform a viewer that he is not stating actual facts about the topics he discusses and instead is engaging in exaggeration and non-literal commentary. Given Mr. Carlson's reputation, any reasonable viewer arrives with an appropriate amount of skepticism. Alright, so in there is another series of statements reiterated by internet trolls. Tucker is a talk show host. He's said this in plenty of interviews. He doesn't view himself as someone saying particularly outrageous, even intelligent things, other than pointing out what's obvious to him. That's what a talk show host does. If you're watching Brian Stelter on reliable sources and you actually think that's non-biased, reliable sources, you're crazy. I can't help you. Tucker's not a lawyer. He's not a politician. He's well-read and has kind of an insider view of how Washington works, but a lot of his show is made up of his opinions. However, that doesn't exclude when he's sharing actual data and fact. It's pretty obvious when he's doing that versus the other. Let me be the first Tucker fan / viewer to tell you, if you're blindly following everything he says, you're a damned idiot. You can't be helped. It's not watching Tucker that makes you an idiot. You were an idiot before. When Tucker shares polling data, numbers, charts, etc., he's sharing facts separate from what he thinks. The facts may support what he thinks, they may not, but there's a noticeable difference. I hate to repeat myself, but if you're going to take every single word a talk show host says as gospel without applying reasonable skepticism that makes room for the host's opinions, you can't be helped. Tucker often says he gets to go on TV every night and say what he thinks. Know the difference between that, facts and data, and do your own research. My dad's a pastor. He says almost every sermon that he preaches not to just take what he says about a passage as is, but to go home, open your Bible, and look for yourself. Got it? We're getting there, I hope. I read all 19 pages of this court document, and you can too. It'll be in a link in the description. Feels good to get that off my chest. Real quick summation. The media's watered-down version of what happened translates to Tucker's own lawyer says he can't be believed on his own program, when in actuality they argued no reasonable viewer would take the extortion statement from Tucker as fact because it was obviously his opinion. Not to say that his entire show is void of facts and he can never be believed by sane people. Okay? Okay. Thanks for going through that with me. Until next time, bye.